Hi, this is a question from GMATquestions.org. Is x equal -3 a root of the equation x minus a times x minus b equals 0? Statement number 1, ab is equal to -12. Statement number 2, a plus b squared is equal to 1. Okay, many of you are tempted to put the x equal -3 into this equation and then just find out what's gonna happen by expanding it. Yeah, you can do it that way, but I would rather hold on to the x equal -3, expand this with a and b, and then go from there. This is what I mean. If you do this, okay, if you do it the slow way, you're gonna see that x times is x squared and so on. Okay, I can keep going and do this, and most of you know how to do that, but I will not do so because I want to show you something using what we already learned. Okay, from what we learned, so we can apply it. We know that a and b are the roots of the equation above, right? Easily you can see it, x gonna be equal to a or x equal b. So because of that and what we've learned in the previous video, you should know that this equation should look like this: x squared minus the sum of the root, this is a parenthesis, so it's changed a little bit, plus the product of the roots equals 0. And we have an x here. Let's not forget the x. Okay? So from what we learn, you should know that this equation is true. Obviously, if you develop this, if you expand this, you're gonna find the same thing. But I want you to know that even without doing so, without expanding it blindly, you can tell right away what this equation gonna look like once we expand it. We're gonna have the sum of the roots, which is a plus b, and the negative of that times x, and we have ab as a product. The negative of the sum of the root is the coefficient of x. ab is by itself, the product, equals 0. And that's how it should look like. Okay? If you want, it always should like this: x squared minus the sum of the root plus p, the product of the root, equals 0. This is how it looks like. Always. Okay? So now, where do we go from here? We know that number 1, AB is equal to -12. Using this, is it possible to know whether x equal -3 is the root of the equation? Let's see. So what we can do at this point is x squared minus a plus b minus 12 going to be equal to 0. Okay, because ab is equal to -12. Now, at this point, there's an x here. At this point, what we can do is plug in the -3. If you plug in the -3, we'll see if it's going to lead us to this whole thing being equal to 0. Okay? So, -3 squared minus a plus b times the -3 minus 12 is, we want to know, is this equal to 0. If you want, this is really, a question. Okay, it's kind of a question here. So if you keep going, we're gonna see that 9 plus 3a plus b, I'm gonna keep it like this, minus 12 is equal to 0. If you continue upstairs here, we're gonna see that 3 times a plus b has to be equal to 12 minus 9, which is a 3. So this is gonna lead to a plus b is equal to 1. Now I'm assuming here, if I'm saying that if x equal negative 3 is the root of the equation, then we must have a plus b equals 0. As you can see here, we plug in the negative 3 into the equation and see what happened. And if we do so, we're gonna end up with a plus b equal 1. The problem is we don't know whether a plus b equal 1. We don't know. So do not know. There is nothing given about a plus b. Do not know the value of a plus b. We do not know that. So, number 1, not sufficient. We're given the product, but we're not given the sum. You could have guessed that it's going to be difficult because really we probably need the sum. Okay? Number 2, a plus b squared is equal to 1. This means that a plus b is equal to 1, or a plus b is equal to negative 1. In this case, it's going to be also be impossible to find out whether x equal negative is a root, because we're not given the product. We're given the sum here 1. We don't even know it's 1 or negative 1, the sum of the roots, but the product is not given. Now we can go ahead and actually, elaborate on this, but I really believe it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time because first, we don't know what the sum is exactly, and also we don't know the product of the roots. So from a theoretical point of view, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be actually impossible to find out whether x equal negative 3 is the root of the equation. And if you're not convinced, I can give you an example. In case a plus b equal 1, I can give you the example x squared minus. Actually, instead of doing that, because I don't want this video to take way too much time, I would rather have you do it yourself. Okay? And I'm gonna do this maybe when we combine the whole thing. When we combine, then I'm gonna give you an example. I think it's better that way. Just understand that there is no way to find out whether x equal negative 3 is a root. Again, because we don't know even the sum of the roots for sure, and we don't know the product. Okay? So I hope that is enough for you, and if not, hopefully you can figure it out. So I'm saying that number 2, having problem writing here, number 2 not sufficient. For the same reason. Now if you do them together, AB is equal to negative 2, A plus B is equal to 1, or A plus B is equal to negative 1. That's what we have. We have this and one of these two. We don't know for sure. For AB equal negative 12 and a plus b equal 1, x squared minus x minus 12 gonna have to be equal to 0. Because remember, we have the product here, negative 12. We have the sum is 1. I put the 1 there, but you have it's a negative of the sum. Remember? Negative of the sum. So this is what we're going to have. And in this case, x minus 4 times x plus 3 is a factorization of this, equals 0. Minus 3, as you can see here, is a root in that particular case. As you can see, is this going to be x equal 4 or x equal negative 3? Is indeed a root. For ab equal negative 12 and a plus b equal negative 1, I hope you can see this. Let me just make sure that you can read it. In that particular case, we're going to have x squared minus minus is really plus the sum plus 1 plus x minus 12 equals 0. I hope you can see that this was a negative x, but this is a plus x, and you can easily see why. The factorization of this is going to be x plus 4 times x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, assuming you know how to do this factorization pretty fast. 4 times the negative 3 is going to be negative 12. 4 plus minus 3 is 1 here. So this is correct. But in this particular case, the roots are negative 4 and 3. So negative 3 is not a root. Okay, I hope you'll agree with that. It is not a root. So really, even together, it's not sufficient. Okay, because I have demonstrated to you that even if you have ab equal negative 12 and we know that a plus b equal 1, in negative 3 would be a root. But in the other case where ab is equal to negative 12 and a plus b equal negative 1, because this is possible because of the fact that a plus b square equal 1, in that particular case negative 3 is not a root. So really we don't know. We don't know because we don't exactly know which case we have. For that very reason, the correct answer to this question is E. In data sufficiency term, it is E. So E is the correct answer. Okay, this was a long question. It's long. Obviously, when you do this on the GMAT, it will not last that long. 12 minutes, 13 minutes actually. It's going to be much faster than this. Because I have to explain to you what's going on. Okay, some of you may find a faster way, but really this is actually a very fast way. The only reason why it took so long, I have to write down all these things. But once you know what's going on, you'll know right away that number 1 is not enough because the sum is not given. Number 2 is not enough because the product is not given. But even if you put them together, you have the product and the sum, but not quite the exact sum because we don't know if the sum is 1 or negative 1. And that is the reason why you cannot do this question. Okay, I did this whole thing just to remind you to make sure you master what is at stake here. But really, this question can take you, I would say, even 1 minute, maximum 2 minutes. Okay, and I hope you understand that the product is not given in the sum is not given in number 1, the product is not given in number 2, and together you still have a problem. Okay, thank you for watching.